Top 10 people who were caught cheating. Now, I am going to save the best clip for last, so make sure to stay tuned all the way to the end to find that last clip. But basically, in this first clip, there is this cop who's trying to give this girl a ticket, and this girl obviously knows that there's no way out of this ticket except, I guess, to offer her body to this cop. Now, this girl was actually in a relationship, and I didn't expect this video to go viral. She actually tried bribing the cop multiple times so she can get out of this ticket. She basically says, hey, I'll just pay you, we can do it in your back seat. And she didn't only say this once. After the guy actually gave her the ticket, she actually followed the cop later on. She's like, hey, I'm serious. I'll actually do anything out of this ticket. Meanwhile, she was in an entire relationship that the cop had no idea about, and she still had the guts to say all this.
You could have gave me a break. We could have worked it out in trade, you know what I mean?
Are you talking about something sexual? I mean, I just came out and said that. And she says, we can do it in the back of your car.
Then where are we going to go? In your car.
Tillman said she'd do anything to get out of the $191 ticket. She left after getting the ticket, but just a few minutes later, Donaldson says she came back, flagged him down, and made the offer again.
It's like demeaning to me.
Now, this next one is absolutely insane. It blew my mind, and I feel so bad for the guy who actually had to go through all this. But basically, there's this game show that his wife was on, and she is basically supposed to be telling every single truth, and there's a lie detector she's attached to tell if she's actually telling the truth or not. And the point of the game is this: if you tell the right answer for every single question, you keep on proceeding through and get more money, and if you don't and the lie detector says you're lying, you lose all the money that you earned, and you basically are forced to say everything is true on live TV. Now, the question she was asked was, has she ever slept with any of her husband's best friends, or has she ever slept with anybody in her own bedroom? And she actually said yes to all these, and I feel so bad for the husband.
Have you had sexual relations with any of your husband's friends and never told him about it?
The answer is yes.
That answer is true.
Have you had sexual relations with a man other than your husband in your own bedroom?
The answer is yes.
True.
This next one really gets you in your feels. Basically, there is this father who was raising this little girl for 7 years. And at the end of the 7 years, he finally gets to realize that his daughter he's been raising, he's been doing her homework with, he saw her first tooth pulled out and everything, wasn't even his daughter. And he called his wife on the phone, basically receiving all the DNA tests that he did behind his wife's back, and said, how could you do this to me? Why would you even lie? And the wife was completely denying it the entire time on the phone. And you just hear his voice break down. He's like, this is my daughter that I thought was mine for the past 7 years, and this is completely somebody else's. Like, it completely broke him down. I feel really bad for him. I guess if you guys ever have suspicions if someone's really your kid, make sure to do a DNA test. It never hurts, and it actually proves out to be something useful.
Why would you do something like this to me? So you've been sleeping behind my back? You had me thinking that she was my baby for 7 years? And I feel like you're making jokes about this whole situation when this is serious. I'm so hurt right now. I can't believe you would do this to me. I was there when she lost her first tooth. I helped her with her homework. We spent so much time together. And you still lying on his phone?
Now, this next one's absolutely insane as well, but basically, these states that grant certain lawsuits depending on what the case is. And in this certain state, there was this guy who saw his wife cheating on him in the bedroom with this other guy, and he completely went berserk. Like, he was crying, he was going crazy. He's like, listen, I thought you loved me, I thought you did this. And his wife was denying it. She's like, listen, I want you to leave, you don't treat me right. And she was basically bugging out, and he was heartbroken. And he was basically forced out of the house, and she's like, leave, and he was just crying in tears. But thankfully, since he lived in this state, he was actually able to sue the defendant for $8.8 million for ruining his marriage, and it actually went through. I'm actually surprised. So I'm so happy that he was at least able to get $8.8 million for somebody ruining his marriage, and the wife got exactly what she deserves. It's just a horrible way to cheat on somebody, especially if you're married to them. Like, don't cheat if you're married, guys.
But the affair continued on and off until 2017. King filed a civil complaint against his czar, citing an obscure law, alienation of affection. Only on the books in 6 states, including Utah, Hawaii, and North Carolina, where King filed his claim, it requires proof of a happy marriage and evidence that the love and affection between a couple was destroyed by the wrongful or malicious actions of the defendant.
Now, if you guys did make it up to this point, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new, but let's proceed on with the list. This next one's also very crazy. It has to do something with a similar story I just stated, but basically it's a bit worse. there were 3 kids that this father had for 20 years. And he didn't find out by doing a DNA test. The wife was actually honest with him after 20 years of having his kids. Literally, his kids were 20 years old. And then he started to realize that his kids weren't his. And the way it happened was he actually ended up suing his wife for another reason. They ended up getting divorced. And just to basically punch him right in the gut, his wife said, hey, by the way, those kids you have aren't your kids. He basically looked at his 3 kids that he had for 20 years and he was amazed. He's like, wow, I can't believe none of these kids are mine. Like, what a way to ruin your life and your money and your time. Like, what?
My God, you know, you suddenly realize that your children aren't yours. So then I said, well, you must have the diagnosis wrong because I've already got 3 boys. But I sort of was like clutching at straws there.
This next one's actually a little small clip. It's one of the funnier ones on this list. But basically there was this guy dancing with, I guess, a stripper. I mean, it's not in a strip club. It's outside. And she's just a dancer, I guess. And he's just dancing and she's just, you know, just dancing with him in a really nice way until his wife decides to catch him. When she does catch him, she just starts hitting him in the back. She's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? It was hilarious for the entire crowd to see. And the dancer just decides to run away. It was so funny to watch. This next guy has to be one of the dumbest people I've ever heard in my life. Like, period, hands down, this guy has to be the dumbest person I've ever heard. He's just describing in a courtroom why cheating isn't always a bad thing. And basically what he was saying was he's been wanting to do things with his girlfriend and his girlfriend didn't allow it. So he just thinks that doing it with another girl isn't cheating because he wasn't going to do it with his girlfriend anyway. He's like, I'm not going to do it with her anyway. So how is it cheating? I'm doing it with somebody else. And the only things I'm doing with my girlfriend are only these things. And the thing I'm doing with this other girl are completely different. And it's not cheating at all because we're totally two different acts. And the judge looks at him like he's insane. Like he deserves to be in a mental hospital. Seriously.
Satisfying my needs in the bedroom like I expect. Then if I go out and do the things that she's not doing with another girl, it's not cheating because we're practicing something that me and her did, but not really practicing that, if that makes sense.
Now this next one's really sad, but basically it's on a show called Caught Cheating or Caught Cheaters, and this wife decides to hire it because there was this babysitter sleeping with her husband. It's really insane. Basically, instead of, I guess, babysitting the kids, she was hitting something else in the back too. The wife basically realized that it was taking a really long time for the husband to come home after dropping off the babysitter. The babysitter's also like, I don't know, maybe 18 years old. And they basically decide to do it in a park. And the guys are tracking him, making sure where he is. And then dropped off the babysitter later home. And the wife is completely boggled.
Didn't take her directly home. He took her to a park. They stayed in the car for a considerable amount of time. And after that, he drops her off as a residence that we later confirmed to be her home. This day was much like the previous.
Now that does it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.